Back in 2021, I traveled to the Big Island with no intention of photographing lava. But as I was driving from Hilo over to Kona for sunset, I got that fateful call from my friend Justin that Kilauea, the most active volcano on Earth, had erupted. This would change the course of my photographic journey, not just for that particular trip, but for many trips to come. Photographing lava is quite addicting. Unlike other forms of landscape photography, volcanoes are ever-changing. Madam Pele is in a constant cycle of destruction and rebirth, which is what makes photographing her such a magical experience. The landscape itself will never quite be the same again. Towards the tail end of 2022, I took a trip up to the Big Island with my photography buddies, the F-Stop Bangas. And at the time, the Kilauea eruption was pretty minimal, but we still hoped to capture something magical as we drove up late at night to visit Tutu Pele. Call it a stroke of luck or a blessing from the goddess herself, but we were endowed with a moonbow that stretched itself across the night sky and poured into the volcano. If you are unfamiliar with this occurrence, you're not alone. Up until this point, I have only heard rumors or seen a few posts on social media about this so-called moonbow. But essentially, moonbows are pretty much rainbows, but instead of using the light from the sun, they are utilizing the light of the moon. Instantly, this panorama jumped to the top of my all-time favorites, and Madam Pele had worked her magic into my heart once again. This is the tale of two eruptions, two volcanoes erupting almost simultaneously, and the story of our photographic adventures that we took to capture the magic of Madam Pele. Throughout this entire trip, we had heard the whispers about what was going on at the summit of Mauna Loa, the tallest and the biggest volcano here in the islands. In fact, if you measure Mauna Loa from its true origin, the base of the seafloor, it rises taller than the tallest mountain peaks here on planet Earth. The National Park Service had closed the access road to the summit due to increased seismic activity. Throughout the entire trip, we wondered, could it erupt? Could we be here to witness this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? A month later, she did.
On top of breaking news this morning, Mauna Loa erupting for the first time since 1984.
Talking about after 38 years of silence, we're seeing some big action on Hawaii Island.
The Mauna Loa eruption was a pretty big deal. Unlike Kilauea, which constantly erupts, up until last December, Mauna Loa had not erupted since 1984. This once-in-a-lifetime opportunity was something that I could not miss out on. So I booked a plane ticket and a 4x4 vehicle and made my way over to the Big Island to meet up with my buddies. For the first time ever, I decided not to rent an Airbnb. Because of the last-minute cost of the 4x4 being so expensive, I figured I would spend all my time at night shooting underneath the stars and maybe taking a nap during the day, and I figured we could do that in the car instead of having to spend another $200, $300 on a place to sleep. The first sunset was an absolute bust from the Mauna Kea Visitor Center, which is the adjacent volcano to Mauna Loa. But as I drove down through all the thick clouds and the mist, things began to open up and I got to see my first glow of Mauna Loa. Oh wow, the clouds just opened up. Some more lava flow on the right side. So I think I'm gonna use the vlog camera, to do a second time lapse. Maybe less intervals, but maybe like 10 more minutes of time lapse just so we can see all the lava flowing. This is really awesome. Good way to start the evening, but I'm pretty much in no rush. We're just gonna go grab some food after this and then pretty much shoot all night up until the morning. But yeah, it's pretty, real pretty. Just magical to watch and witness and to see for myself. All right, let's start time lapsing. After letting Ed have maybe a little bit too much to drink down there in Kona, we headed back up to Mauna Loa to start our evening off shooting as close as we could possibly get from the viewing area. Over here, that looks just kind of ever so slightly different. You can see all of the front flow of the lava. I'm really close. But as you guys can see, that right side is opening up a little bit. I think it's getting closed up by whether that's the clouds or the volcanic gases. Remains to be seen, but it does look like it's kind of clearing out a little bit. We'll see on the time lapse how it looks, but yeah, it's not bad. I'm glad we made the stop over here. Well, hopefully we got some pretty good time lapses from that. I think the clouds are starting to kind of eat up at it a little bit, but I think for the most part we got some pretty good stuff. So I think we're gonna head back to the visitors center, not the visitor center, but the rest area, rest up a little bit, and then maybe try to get up a little bit higher to see if we can see things from above. While the viewing road was nice in its own way, we could not appreciate the true scale of the lava flow from below. In order to get a better angle of Madam Pele's creation, we had to ascend. Oh my goodness, wow, check that out. All right, so we are up on the Mauna. Once again, this time the clouds have cleared. A good amount of clouds have cleared there. We still have clouds hovering over Mauna Loa, but at least we can kind of see the lava trails going down the mountain. From the side of Mauna Kea, we could really see a lot better the length and the height of the rivers that flow down the side of Mauna Loa. It was here where we decided to set up camp for the night, so I quickly threw my cameras onto their tripods and time-lapsed throughout the late hours. I huddled in my car to stay warm, only running out to change batteries, adjust the composition, and switch out SD cards. As dawn approached, we decided to pile into 2 cars and head up to the summit of Mauna Kea for sunrise. As the high clouds lit up the sky on our drive up, I tried my best not to pass out while running to set up my composition to photograph not just the sunrise, but also the volcanic eruption happening to our right side, as well as some leftover snow at the summit. Oh, we made it. And look at this beautiful sunrise that's unfolding. We got high clouds this way, and then we have beautiful blue hour light out there and a little bit of snow left. Oh, this is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Sun is out. Can barely see the lava anymore, but we totally, it's just filled with harsh light at this point. Still beautiful, but yeah, the money shots were here during blue hour. We got just the tail end of it. We're gonna head back to the car. We're gonna try and take a little bit of a cat nap before we drive back down. Try to regain some of my strength. I didn't sleep at all last night, not even a single minute. Maybe like a nod off for like 2 seconds in the car when we were driving, when Nick was driving, but man, I am exhausted. I've been up for more than 24 hours and it's taken its toll. After struggling to nap throughout the day, I had planned to walk out to the lava field to get really close to the lava, but unfortunately the military had discovered some sort of unexploded ordnance or whatever. So that threw a wrench in my plans. I decided, since the whole area seemed pretty clouded up on the saddle, that heading down to Kona might be a good idea to photograph some water flow and some drains. After that sunset in Kona that actually turned out to be pretty good, I had planned to drive all the way down to Volcanoes National Park. The thought of photographing 2 volcanic eruptions at the same time sounded pretty appealing. But after pulling an all-nighter and getting very little sleep in my car during the day, I could not for the life of me stay awake while driving back from Kona. I decided to park my car at the Visitors Center of Mauna Loa and sleep until the clouds cleared. Eventually, around midnight, those clouds did clear, and I began my time-lapsing for the second night. Everyone, so welcome to the truck bed. It is about just past midnight here on Mauna Loa Access Road. What I wanted to do today Let's try and see if I could find any sort of trees that I could use as foreground. And what I found today was actually a pretty good set of trees. You can't see it right now because it's dark, but if I shine my light, maybe you guys can see those two scraggly trees over there. I'm hoping that those guys provide some nice foregrounds. Whether it's going to be me lighting it, but I think we can probably get away with using the cars that pass by, lighting it up just kind of intermittently for us while we take a time lapse. And yeah, hopefully we can get, you know, some decent shots of them. And yeah, just gonna do a quick time lapse while this evening rolls on. So here we are back up at this visitor center. Not quite at the summit yet, it's still a bit early. It's like 2 a.m. right now, but getting a different angle. The clouds weren't really clearing down there. I think there's a possibility that they do end up clearing while we're up here though. So I wanted to try and start a time lapse and then see if we can get that time lapse to capture all the clouds kind of lifting off of the top of the mountain to expose the fissure that's all the way at the top. As I dragged myself through the night, as dawn approached, I could not bear the thought of driving any further for sunrise. So I decided to head back up to the Mauna Loa summit because it was pretty much the only place I could go without passing out on the road. It goes without saying that sometimes in photography, we have to prioritize the moment and the experience over our own personal comforts. Spending all night in the freezing cold and getting very little sleep during the day certainly wasn't ideal, but I'm very grateful and very appreciative that I was able to witness the eruption. Shortly after returning home to Oahu, both Mauna Loa and Kilauea ceased erupting, and I knew photographers who unfortunately did not get the same opportunity as I did. But Pele would not stay dormant for long. Coming up next week on part 2 of A Tale of Two Eruptions.